Hey guys, it's Dave, and just wanted to give an update on Miata 1. It's been a couple months, it's been a while, and that's because there hasn't been much progress here. Made a little bit of progress, got the charger fixed, everything seems to be good, battery's up to 80%. Just going to leave it there for a while because I don't have a drive shaft. Yeah, it's a long story, but I thought I'd give an update and walk around the car and see where we're at. Yeah, so start with the battery box. I do have half of the battery up here. Did some high quality connectors here, hoping to reuse the box if it doesn't stay in the Miata. Used the stock contactors from the Leaf and the fuse from the Leaf, so that's all in this box. And I've got, I'm not sure we can see it, a little service disconnect down there. Yep, hard to see, but it's down there. Yep. And that's the battery. A couple other things, I guess, starting since I mentioned the drive shaft. I did get the Brad Industries coupler and adapter plates, so that's on the back there. Strangely, I'm not using a Miata transmission, using a BMW transmission. Yeah, not sure why I did that. My advice, always go with the stock transmission. You got to find it somewhere. Ship it from across the world. Doesn't matter if they ship you video games instead. Get that stock transmission. Also inductive auto remote mount for the inverter. So that's what those wires are coming from and going to. Coming out of the motor and going to the inverter through their kit, which is really clean. Note on the Miatas, probably are going to have to separate the inverter from the motor in order to get it to slide as far back as you can. I'm not sure exactly where the bell housing is on the Miata transmissions, but not a lot of space. And I think you'll at least have to take some part off of the stack because it's not very tall either. Not a lot of height under the hood. See some janky wiring on the charger. I couldn't figure out that you had to turn the settings on in the Thunderstruck MCU, so I was having a lot of trouble getting the vehicle to charge. But out of 2006, 2003, Chevy Volt 2006, I think. Yes, I do have the cooling disconnected, but that's how I was getting the charge done. This is a custom power distribution, or rather the high voltage junction box. Kept the brake system pretty much the same. I forget the vacuum pump. I think this is a Volvo or Volkswagen part. Got some pressure sensor, a relay off the ignition. What else is good? This is the Leaf reservoir for the cooling. Routed the cooling down using a Prius Inverter radiator, and the water pump from the, don't use the Leaf, I've got it in there now, but I would replace that with a standard just 12 volt on off water pump behind there, which routes back to the motor down there. Yeah, and then yeah, I've got, like I said, a couple of loose things. The battery box, even with the drop kit from Monster Motors for the sway bar, if I can find it under there. Yeah, there it is. It's still not this box to close the hood all the way, so I put some hood pins in. And yeah, a little rain. I got the cheap ones because I'm not trying to spend a lot of money on this, just make things work. And they rusted pretty quick. All right, working our way back. Here's what I did here in the dash. Used a old Samsung tablet, which you can barely see, but use that with a Bluetooth pairing to an OBD2 kit. With the Thunderstruck MCU, I don't think I needed a CAN translator, but I was using the OpenInverter board in the inverter, and so wanted to use as many just CAN messages as I could, and then let the translator, which you can custom map, send things over to OBD2 messaging. Turn it on, should power up when the power hits. Yep. And then that's about how quick it boots up, or actually not boot up, but restores from standby. I had most of those gauges working, but I cut the CAN twisted pair to the OBD2 while I was troubleshooting the charger, and I just haven't restored it yet. I did have an overheating problem, so you might be able to hear them, but had some little PC fans, little 12 volt fans shoved under there. I still have the serial cord from the MCU, which also works for the CAN translator, going down underneath. Radio works, I just got it turned off, and then I chose to leave the transmission in 1 speed. I don't have an indicator yet, but this works just as it did in the Leaf, and you should be able to hear the motor spin, which of course you can't because I'm doing a video. I'm not sure why that's not working anymore, but yeah, you get the picture. And then the rear battery pack, I had to do quite a bit of cutting under there, but eventually it fits. The top drops down and just rests a little high. One thing I found surprisingly nice was, well, I did some ugly jobs cutting it. The gas filler had the same bolt pattern as the charge port from the Leaf. I labeled it just to make sure I was measuring or getting connectivity on the right cord. But yeah, mounts in there, charges well, and yeah, I just routed the wires up the left side, dropped down through one of the holes that's already in the body, and push it forward next to the drive shaft. Kept the CHAdeMO cord out. I would have been able to charge with it, just would have had to mount it and finish up some wiring, change the high voltage junction box a little bit. Still have all the wires. I've learned connectors that match and have some leads are absolutely invaluable, way easier than trying to do your own connectors, probably higher quality anyway. So keep it in the junkyards, find as many of those as you can. And yeah, actually fried the Miata battery. Long story. Leaf batteries here, it's working fine. Volt charger out of the same volt, 2006. Threw in a little termination resistor here, and of course the rear battery pack, which is straight from the back. Not in a box, yes I know, and probably should be. Probably wouldn't add too much clearance. It's supported well by the frame. I did add that angle iron under the side because it is missing a little bit, but that's the Miata1. So what comes next for Miata1? It's probably gonna sit here for a while, a month or two. I might get lucky, might get that drive shaft and put it all together. If I don't, I'm probably just gonna start stripping parts off it. Still a lot of good Miata parts, especially the coilovers on the suspension. Battery box is pretty good. All the electronic stuff, the custom stuff can get reused, the Thunderstruck stuff. The inductive auto remote mounting kit for the inverter and the PDM, definitely can reuse those. Yeah, and that's probably it for this car. Yeah, I'm never going to register it. It's never going to be that solid a build. Yeah, and I don't really want to replace the batteries. Batteries are probably junk, but at least now they're 80% charged. They're ready to sit a while, and that's what I'm going to let it do.